Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome on this Thursday night. Thank you for joining me here on my show. And yeah, I'm so glad to be back in front of the camera. It was a crazy weekend last week. Hope you guys were with us for those two shows. So we did a 12-hour live stream the whole of last Saturday. And it's really, really incredible. 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. straight of music, of guests and sharing. It was really amazing. I thought I would be really tired, but man, both Miss Lu and myself felt so energized. And excuse me, the next morning we had the amazing Eric Marianthal, who came on my special show, and man, we had so much fun. We got to play music together, we got to sample new music of his, and man, that was just the start of, he was the first guest, that I brought in, who is really a saxophone hero from overseas. And yeah, it's so crazy that one thing has led to another, and now I have, I think, four other of my favorite saxophonists booked to come on the show. It's incredible, and many more to be announced soon. So, some just things just work in amazing ways. And yeah, I hope you guys had a great week. I had periods, here and there in the week where I just felt like really exhausted. So I think it's definitely due to the past weekend. But hey, here we are again, and I'm not sure if you guys can notice any difference again, but we did even more adjustments. Thank you so much to Martin from Black Magic for helping with us. I think he spent almost an hour on the phone with us to really guide us on, lighting techniques and settings on the phone, on the camera, sorry. So yeah, do let me know in the chat if you find this look much nicer. And yeah, we're still constantly tweaking, and we want to make things better and better for you. So yeah, so we got our two cameras sorted out as well. So this is the second camera, and yeah, I think on our episodes on the weekend, some people commented that the look between both cameras were not really similar. So we tried to tweak it as much, because they're two different cameras. They're both Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. But the main cam, which is cam 1 over there, it's the 6K model, and this is actually the 4K model. So they're both great, just the color profiles are slightly different, so we had to adjust. But man, it came really close after we did all the settings. So thank you so much. And yeah, we're really glad to be supported by these wonderful companies that they want the same thing as us, just to make the shows better and better for you guys. So we're so blessed. Yeah, this is actually finally my new pair of Audio Technica headphones. They were so kind to let Miss Lu and I try one of the demo pairs, and we loved it so much we just bought one each for ourselves. And it came this week, and we're so happy. It's, if this can help me to go for 12 hours, I'm sure 2 to 3 hours is no problem. So let me say hi to some of you guys on the chat. Hi Vincent, nice to see you. Yin. Hi Drew. Oh, from JB. I miss JB. My wife and I, we usually go every single week to JB to relax, to have good food, and to spend time with her parents as well. So really miss being able to go there. And Leron, looking forward to more music. Yes, today's episode is going to be very different. So maybe I'm gonna explain a bit on, you know, we had a good think as a loud and clear company. Where do we want to go? What do we want to do? After finishing the 12-hour live stream and Eric Mariantho's show. So um it's gonna be interesting. For myself, I'm gonna leave Thursday nights for any guests who are not on the nose music guests in that sense. So Russell is I'm gonna share more later. He is a amazing guy, and I'm so excited to have him on. So yeah, I think Thursdays I'm gonna keep for ad hoc sessions where I can bring in guests that it's just not so on the nose, a saxophonist or a musician. I think I want to have my YouTube channel to be something a bit more varied, so that not every single time where people watch my videos is a saxophone cover or me playing. I think that's something I want to pivot out of, and invite people from all walks of life who I resonate with, who I admire and respect, and to bring them on the show and to share their stories and share their life with you guys. So Thursdays is going to be that, and my Saturday night shows will still remain. And Saturday night is where I can just play the songs I want to play for you guys, take requests. And I'm going to be doing quite consistently, I think, on Saturday mornings as well. And that will be my special smooth jazz show, where I'll be inviting all the most amazing musicians that I want to collaborate with, especially from overseas, internationally. And so that morning, 11 a.m., Saturday mornings, 11 a.m., that time slot seems to work the best for both the US and the Asian time zone. So, I'm looking at doing 3 shows a week now, but all 3 will be very different. Thursday nights will be for guests that are, not entirely music related, and Saturday mornings will be featuring my musical heroes from overseas. And then Saturday night at 8 p.m. is where I can play all the songs that I love and that you guys love as well. So that's a brief rundown of at least what we're going to be doing now. And Leron, nice to see you again from Penang, Malaysia. Yes, Yin, I got a haircut finally, a quick one just downstairs. Hi, is it Javier from Orlando, Florida, USA? Thank you so much. It must be really early in the morning now. Thank you for joining me. And Ben, nice to see you. Yes, thank you for the kind comments on the haircut. Hi, Mr. Heng, nice to see you. And Larry from Kyoto, wow, that's amazing. I miss Kyoto. We only went there for a day trip the last time I went to tour in Japan. So nice to see you. And Casey, nice to see you. Hope you had fun learning the saxophone. And Paul from the Netherlands, thank you so much. This is amazing. This is a really international group of people. Hi, Russell. Nice to see you. Yes, Miss Lou is chilling in our bedroom, probably watching this on the television. Hi, Hilda. Nice to see you. So glad you're always here with us. And Drew says, yeah, you love it there in JB. Yes, we love it there in JB as well. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me. And it's been such a credible few weeks. And I always tell people, just keep doing what you do, and you never know what might happen or where life might take you. So maybe before I introduce to you guys Mr. Russel Wong, I'm gonna share with you how this even came about. So I had my show with Eric Mariantho on Sunday morning. Just this past Sunday morning, we had a great time. And actually, during the show, Mr. Richard Xiao, who I knew ever since the ACS days and ACS rugby days, he saw that I was doing a show with Eric Mariantho, and I think he shared the link with Russell. So Russell, being a jazz lover, smooth jazz lover, and being with knowing so many musicians, that was really incredible. So Russell and Mr. Richard Xiao both were on the show, the Eric Mariantho show, and I think Mr. Richard Xiao asked if Eric could play a tune called Street Dance. So, and they said, and he brought up that the album cover of Street Dance, that album, was actually shot in Singapore by Russell. So, I don't check the comments that often, but that really caught my attention. And um it, I was dumbfounded. So when I got the chance, I asked Eric, "Hey Eric, could I check with you, something like, do you remember, your album cover, was it shot by Russell in Singapore?" And Eric was like, "Yes, that was indeed, Eric was here in Singapore, and Russell was shooting for a magazine, if I'm not wrong. But later we can get Russell to share the story again." And Eric didn't, his label didn't like any of the album cover. So Eric remembered, that Russell took some shots, and then they reached out to Russell and asked if they could use one of his photos for his album cover, and they have been friends ever since. So it's so incredible, that I got to find that out on the YouTube live show itself, in the chat, so that was really amazing. So after the show, Russell dropped me a text on my Facebook, and he shared with me that he's a huge music lover, and he knows so much of the smooth jazz scene because he was there in LA, watching it happen, meeting so many of them, shooting them. And I'll leave all the stories for later. But I told Russell, I would love to, have a chat and hear more from you. And immediately, Russell gave me a call, and I think we ended up talking for, close to 2 hours, if I'm not wrong, after the show on Sunday. So it was incredible. And just straight away, I told Russell, Russell, we really have to get you on the show. Like, all these nuggets of, wisdom, and all the behind the scenes, information and stories about all the artists that he has shot. And we were just talking about the music artists. We haven't even gone to the Hollywood side of things. Russell being, one of the most prolific photographers anywhere in the world. And we're so proud that he's from right here. So I was telling Russell, Russell, I think I could talk to you for like 10 hours, digging out all these stories. But I think it won't be very fair, because then I will be the only one benefiting. So I said, Russell, it's crazy, but you want to come on my show and share it with everyone who watches? And he was like, "Sure, just let me know the date," And immediately I was so excited. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it at the nearest date possible," even though I was supposed to take some time off to relax after the crazy week. But and here we are on Thursday night, with Russell here. And man, it's just been such an incredible blessing. You never know what happens, from if from inviting Eric Marienthal to the show, to being able to interact with Russell for the first time and finding out so much, and as a fellow ACS old boy also, so there were so many layers of connections. And yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna read out and introduce to you more of Russell before I have him come on. He's eagerly waiting in the Zoom call. So let me just pull up um his bio right here. All right. So Russel Wong is one of the most profiled photographers in Singapore and Asia. Described as a celebrity photographer who also photographs celebrities, Russell enjoys the acclaim of being the first Singaporean to break into the notoriously difficult Hollywood movie industry. He is also one of an elite group of photographers assigned to photograph covers of Time magazine. Popularly noted for his photographs of celebrities from movie stars to rock musicians, sports personalities, politicians, and fashion gurus, Russell has nevertheless developed a strong portfolio of lesser known but no less compelling subjects. Still life compositions, nudes, landscapes, and conceptual pieces are as much of his practice as are his celebrity portraits. So, Russell's bio reads, it's just such an amazing accomplishment, all his accomplishments. But we're just gonna let you meet the person behind all this amazing work. And yeah, let me get hold on. All right, and here we go. So this is Russell. Hi, Russell.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, good. Let me pull up your volume a bit more. Still getting a hang of this one man setup for live streams. So, yes, Russell, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks
I'm
for having me
really
on the show.
excited.
Thanks for having me on the show. This is rather last minute. It was just a good surprise, and
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy talking about music.
Man, we're gonna have so much time and having fun talking about music today. So let me just see, let me look in the chat and see who else. Oh, Jasmine. Hi, Auntie Jasmine. Nice to see you. And man, and Martin from Black Magic is here as well. Thank you so much. And we have friends from Thailand as well. So, you know, uh Russell, even from sharing about these videos, then I sharing about our show tonight, I see so many people commenting on the post and saying they love your work as well and they know me as well, but they never thought that our paths would cross. So man, this is so amazing. So yeah, like our sharing, we just connected literally this past Sunday.
Yep.
It's been it's been so crazy, and really thanks to your work with Eric Marienthal. So maybe you can start off and share with us, how did you start you know getting to know musicians in LA, and getting into this scene.
Well, it started because I was going to school in Los Angeles in Pasadena at Art Center. So Art Center is private art college,
Mm.
and I tell people I had two lives. One life as a student, which was from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening, and then I had my separate secret life, which
Mm.
was jazz bars. Yeah,
Wow.
from like 10, from 10, 9, 10 at night to about 12 midnight, 1 in the morning maybe.
Mm.
So I would do my schoolwork, shoot for the assignments, and I would rush to the Baked Potato, which is like the most famous jazz club in LA, on Lancashire, right by Studio City, about 35, 40 minutes from where I was living in Pasadena. So it was just that kind of a life. And every Monday I would go and spend 4 hours there listening to jazz people. And it was actually that bar that kind of I had my first kind of breakthrough of shooting a famous person in LA, which was a jazz musician playing keyboards. His name was Jeff Lauber,
Mm.
and yeah, so that's how it started. Every Monday night I would be there, in my other life, and then we'll go back to student life. We'll go back to student life, but that was just an outlet for me. And actually, I did that also because I wanted to build a portfolio. And as a photographer starting out, you have to build a portfolio, be it modeling or portraits or whatever. So I decided that I had to get my portfolio stronger by getting known people, and what better way than to shoot the people that I love, that I've heard about, that I grew up with. So baked potato every single Monday, every single Monday baked
Wow.
potato at night, and started meeting all these jazz musicians, and whose music I was listening to, like from George Benson, Al Jarreau, Phil Upchurch, guitar player, and it started that way. And I was just very, very surprised that they were so receptive. And I told them I was a student and I was just shooting them, and it was just really easy. It was not
Mm.
like a rock star with an entourage. And the baked potato is really small, so you can't
Yeah.
hide it. You can't hide too much. And yeah, that's how I started as student first year, when I was in LA. That's how it all started in terms of meeting these jazz guys
Mm.
that I kind of knew about and had their albums.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And there's so much that we can learn from that. Also, how many students, studying would even dare to go up and shoot these amazing artists. And I think your story is really amazing, and so that so many people, so many of us can learn from. So from then, how do you usually build your relationships, after let's say taking pictures of them the first time? Do you usually keep in touch here and there, or how does the networking and relationships get built? I mean, some of these guys you've known for 30 years or more.
Yeah,
So from being
too
a
long.
student, yeah, from being a student to let's say shooting them the first time, how did it end up 30-year relationships with so many of these guys?
Yeah, I think you know, I look back and why I did it or how I did it. You know, it 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 was a really what I just wanted to shoot them. You know, that there was, and of course, eventually for my book, and also because you know I love their music and it meant a lot to me because I looked up to them, and so it's multifaceted. You know, one part of it is for me, very selfishly for me, because I get to meet them, chat them, sit down with them, have a coffee, have a baked potato, some sour cream, you know, and just alone there chatting, and these were amazing evenings. You know, and I'll never forget. One on one, no manager, no security, no publicist, just me, just the guy, that's the musician and me. And I found it very, I mean, empowering. And I found it that, you know, it was just possible for me to keep meeting these people and then building my book. So the building my book was always at the back of my head. You know, that was also the angle that, you know, so I'm so lucky to be able to fuse what I love with my work. So it wasn't works one side and my art is one side, my personal relationship with them is one side. It was always intertwined, you know. Yeah, I was just hanging out. So happened hanging out is, you know, this famous musician sitting next to me eating baked potato. Um, to elaborate like how it all happened and how it kind of pans out. For example, I one of the first people I met actually was Kenny G, the saxophone player, and Kenny was, I mean, he didn't have a solo album. I mean, he had a solo album, but no one knew who he was primarily, you know, because he wasn't living in LA. And finally, when he moved to LA, very first time he moved to LA, that's when I kind of met him, and I met him at another bar where he was playing, and then later I found out that he's going to be at the Baked Potato, which is my hangout, you know, because it was close by school and it was cheaper, you know, because I think Monday nights they didn't charge cover, so I think that's why I went on Monday nights, because there was no cover charge, whereas the other bars would charge like I think like 20, 25, and it was kind of steep for me then. So Monday nights, go down, and I found out that he was going to be at the Baked Potato, so I went down, and there he was sitting down together with some other people, and I recognized the other people. And at that time, I actually photographed him, unbeknownst to him, the Playboy Jazz Festival for myself in the Hollywood Bowl. So, you know, there were a whole bunch of acts, and he was one of them. I just shot some live shots of him. And I just went up there. He was just sitting down. I just went up to him and said, hey, look, I got some shots of you. I would love to give it to you. You know, I have it printed in school, and I was lucky then because I was going to school and I was using all their facilities and their paper and their chemicals all for free, you know, to print stuff up for these guys. So it started that way, and I said, okay, I'm gonna bring the prints, you know, I'll give it to you when are you here the next time. And he told me again, and at the same time I asked him, I said, look, I would really love to photograph you in my studio, because I was living in my loft, you know, in my studio, in a warehouse, beat up warehouse, kind of like, you know, with my roommate. And so that was where I was kind of working and living, you know, trashy place in downtown LA. And so he goes, sure, I'll shoot with you. I need a headshot. Because don't forget, at that time, no one knew who he was. He was not big. Duotone Songbird never got out yet. So, yeah, I would just approach him and I would just ask, you know, and a lot of people ask me, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you get to know this person or that person? And as a photographer, you know, you're excited to work with these people. Just like, you know, a musician like you would be excited to work with a producer, with another, you know, a keyboard player. So you wanna work with these great, good, talented people. So for me as a photographer, okay, so you know, I got him, and he wasn't known, so it wasn't like, he's this big guy. And you know, we just set it up, say, okay, just come by the studio. You need a headshot, come by the studio, and then of course the relationship forms slowly. So he comes by the studio, and you know, he was not very well dressed, so I dressed him up with my clothes I got from Singapore, because I had some nice shirts and stuff. I gave him some clothes, some Japanese designers, Matsuda, Yoji Yamamoto, you know. So he just dressed up, you know. I dressed him up, styled him, and I shot all these pictures of him. And of course, you know, what do you do after a shoot at that time? You know, you didn't shoot on digital. You know, so you shot on film, you had to print it, enlarge it, and then make another appointment to go see him. So that was one of the best strategies, you know, because if obviously they want to print, obviously
Yeah.
they want to see a proof sheet, right? I mean, in this day and age, you know, you don't even have to see the guy.
Yeah.
You just email, right?
Yeah.
Email, and then through the internet, okay, I'll pick this, pick this, pick this. But at that time, the great part was I physically printed it. I physically made an appointment.
Wow.
We go to the cafe, look at the pictures, and he will select, you know, the pictures, and you get the set of pictures. And of course, over there, you form a relationship and a friendship. And of course, if he wants more pictures, you see him again. So
Wow.
to me, that was
Yeah.
like the cool,
Yeah.
interesting strategy that I'm gonna make an excuse to keep on seeing who I shoot.
Yeah.
And you know, and it just worked out that way. And every time you build a relationship, and of course, that's the shoot. Besides the shoot, obviously, if you're an instrumentalist or a sessionist, you'll be playing maybe with maybe 10, 20 bands, right? So if you're a horn player, you might be playing with this band, this band, this band. So he was playing for the Rippingtons, you know, I don't remember them, the
yeah.
Rippingtons, the great jazz, smooth jazz group that Russ Freeman
Yeah.
formed, because he was based out of the Baked Potato. So he was playing with them, and then later on, of course, when he became a name, it was Whitney Houston and George Benson and Babyface. So it's not just meeting that one instrumentalist or musician. You're kind of getting to know his network, right? Because you know musicians play with other people, so obviously they know other people, you know.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. Before you know, he became huge after Duotones. After Duotones came out, Songbird, the largest, I think, instrumentalist, the highest sales ever, you
Yeah.
know, with Songbird, which
Yeah.
kind of crossed over from the smooth jazz to I think pop or something.
Yeah.
And that was just one relationship, you know. And obviously, it's you know, from then, of course, you know, I get to go to the Whitney Houston shows, to the Stanley Jordan or George Benson shows, because they had the same manager as George Benson, and you get to go backstage because you know the musician. So that's how us photographers operated. That's how I operated. It's very normal, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you know, obviously, the more people you shoot, the bigger your network is. But I enjoy it. It wasn't work for me, you know. It wasn't work for me because I mean, here you are sitting down, you know, George Benson's there having a coffee, and you know, I grew up with his music.
Yeah.
You know, Give Me the Night, Masquerade, you know, and it's just it was just surreal. You know, it was just surreal. But the more I tasted it, obviously, the more I wanted it. You know, and I would just go up. You know, Baked Potato was my hunting ground. You know, I'd go up. Hey, you know, and I would. Well, the funny part is this: I always use the student part as an excuse. So like, hi, I'm a student. I'm a broke student. You know, I can't pay you, but I want to shoot you.
Yeah.
You know, I can make you free prints. You know, and of course the prints are really free because I used all the school stuff, right? So all I had to pay for sometimes is just paper. And after school, I would print all the stuff for these guys. But that was the fun thing because they were so happy. They were so happy to receive a print. And I realized early on that, you know, I thought that all these famous people, including actors, would get a print from photographer. Because you do a shoot, you know, we send you the print. But it's really rare, I found out. That, I mean, they're like, whoa, you give me a print? Oh, wow, thanks so much. So I figured, wow, I mean, like, they never get a print. I thought it was just like a give and take, you know. But strange, a lot of photographers, sometimes when they shoot with them, they don't even get a print. You know, they see the magazine maybe, but they don't get the original print, which is way better, and quality is better.
Yeah.
So I figured, okay, so if they like the print, I'm gonna make sure, like everyone I shoot with, I'm gonna make sure they get a print. And again, when they get a print, I have to see them.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of, you know, excuse for me to go hang out. Hey, why don't you meet me at the club? Fine, I'm at the club. I'm handing you the print. Hey, why don't you come and sit down? Or why don't you meet me at the cafe? You know, I can introduce you to my girlfriend who's another actress. Or so this was just that whole space I was in, and it became very second nature. It was from one person to the next to the next. And I enjoyed it. It was not work. You know, I never studied. I just took pictures.
Wow. And you know, so I guess that was really like handing out name card in that sense, right? You know, like, and especially cool, you know, like you pounced upon that chance when you realize, hey, you know, these are great musicians, but they've never received prints, you know, from all the shoots that they've been shooting. So, you know, definitely they're gonna be like, oh, this Russell, oh yeah, that guy, you know, who
The guy
hand
he gives free
delivered.
prints.
Yeah, so wow. And I'm sure this, so-called investment on your part, paid off big time, you know, in that sense.
Yeah, because I mean, in school, we were taught. I think the first or second semester that the
Mm.
marketing part was so important, right?
Mm.
How many times, Daniel, like, have you gotten a business card, right?
Yeah,
And you go, oh, thanks a lot, and then you chuck it,
for
or it
sure.
goes in the wallet, it
Yeah.
falls out, or you don't even, right? You don't
Yeah.
even look at it or take the number down.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times has that happened? Where so we were taught in school that, hey, you gotta have a promotion card, make it at least a
Mm.
decent size, and
Mm.
sometimes people, if they like the picture, they will have your promo card with your name and your number and your email. They will
Mm.
tack it on their notice board, or they'll tack it on their fridge. So that was one of the
Mm.
things I learned in school in terms of marketing for photographers. So I made sure I had a promo card, which again we printed in school because
Mm.
printing was free. I didn't want to go pay a printer, go get a printer to do it. Yeah, so it was so easy. It was just one photo of someone you photographed, maybe a 5x7, 5 hour print, and then your name and your number. It was as simple as that. And of course, I would change the photographs, and when I had got a better one or a bigger celebrity, I would change it. The bigger the celebrity, obviously, they are like, whoa, the better your chances of being hired, obviously. So that was one of, I guess, the strategies, and something I learned in school, in photography school at Art Center, that it's better to give a promo card, and because people usually, hopefully, they don't throw it away. A business card with just
Yeah.
your name and address, that can be the trash moment to say thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. And it's so amazing, hearing that from you that, it was probably in your first or second semester that they already taught you that. Sometimes, I speak to other musician friends and sometimes they can finish their whole degree, in music, but, the school doesn't really help them, or teach them, many skills for this marketing part. So it's really cool, and it definitely
the
served you
tuition the
well in
tuition
that
was
sense.
worth it.
Yeah, yeah, and oh man, it's so interesting. So when was do you still keep in touch with Kenny G, or when was the last time you
I
saw
mean, he used to
him or
come. I mean,
spoke?
obviously, he was in
Mm,
Asia quite a bit in the '90s,
mm,
and he
mm,
hardly he hardly comes here, so I haven't seen him for quite a while.
mm.
And but the other people, the whole clique, because at that time when I met everyone, man, it was like the whole smooth jazz was exploding with radio stations, and actually he kind of paved the way for a lot of horn players.
Oh,
When
for
he came
sure.
around and sold all these millions of albums, every single label wanted a horn player. I'm sure you remember that time.
Yeah.
Like Dave. That's the same
Mm,
time. Dave Koz,
mm,
Brandon Fields, Kate Walker, Wallum. Everyone wanted a horn player on their label. So that kind of started the ball rolling, and that explosion. So slowly, one by one, I was picking them up and meeting them. It was a great time.
wow.
It was a great time, and they're all friends. Everyone knew each other. They used the same keyboard player or something,
Yeah.
and they go, "Oh, you got to shoot this guy from Singapore." So my name kind of floated around there. I used it to an advantage because I was nearly the only Asian photographer hanging out at the jazz bars. Uh, and yeah, so I use that to my advantage. They remember me. So, oh, is that Singapore photographer? So cool. And my name got passed around, and that's how, in my business, I guess for musicians the same thing like you, right? You don't put an ad out, right? So people have to see your work, and that's the promotion for you. Your work speaks for itself. So they would see the pictures. I would have a portfolio, printed all up, and I would show them what I do. And it was just that's the way it was. I couldn't advertise. You never advertise, you know. And you just go down the list, like who would I want to meet, and I would just keep going to the bars, and from the baked potato I would go to the other bars in Santa Monica, at my place. I would go to Bon Appetit in Westwood. So all the jazz bars were like my, was my hunting ground, and I would look at the LA Weekly, which was your weekly guide of who plays where, and
Wow.
I would figure out, okay, so Bon Appetit's got this. So I would kind of know the schedule already. Like so and so always plays on a Thursday. So and so always plays on a Saturday. And I would do that. I would just go down. It's that. I mean, with connections, sometimes if I kind of know some of the people, I just get in for free.
Yeah.
because it's expensive. It's
Yeah.
expensive paying the cover charge,
Yeah.
2-3 times a week if you could. And before you know it, everyone's kind of connected, and I was enjoying myself. I was really enjoying myself. We all came to the studio, we shot. Like you say, the relationships have
Yeah.
been more than 20-25 years.
Yeah.
I still, some of them I still keep in touch with. Yeah.
Wow, Russell, I was looking at the chat, to see if there are any questions, and it's so amazing because there's a comment here from Jasmine Ng. She says, it's so incredible that you actually hand delivered your book personally to her, and her family was blown away. Man, it is very rare. Like, I didn't expect that comment or anything, but man, you've been, it's been years since you've graduated, and you are still, living by that, that extra touch, that personal touch. And wow, that's really incredible. Like, when you released your book, did you do a lot of personal, deliveries in that sense, or
Yeah, I mean, people I knew,
wow,
friends, and I think in Jasmine's case, I
wow,
released it again, and I mean, hey, I was around. I think uh, Clementi or Jurong area, and like, okay, I got the book. Why don't you come down and grab it? I can just come down. I mean, it's no big deal to me.
wow,
And but also it's like what I do. It is a very very lonely profession. Unlike what people think. It seems glamorous. I get to meet all these people, but you think about it, like when I'm shooting in the studio,
mm,
um, like it's different from you guys, the musicians. You
mm,
play your horn, you get
yeah,
the applause, you get the standing ovation, right? Because you get the affirmation, and you get all this
mm,
feedback right away.
mm,
Oh, we love you, we love you. They start shouting and stuff, and right off the bat, you get the applause right away. Whereas, like as a photographer, you're out there shooting, a ball game, or you're out there in the woods shooting like a bamboo
yeah,
forest behind. You're there alone at 5 in the morning. You're doing
yeah,
it, or you're shooting someone in the studio. It's just two people.
yeah,
And you don't know if they will like it. You don't know who thinks about it or who will even see it,
yeah,
right? So you just hope someone likes it.
yeah,
But to have someone come up, you know, and when I remember when I came back and they saw my pictures in the magazine, some people come out on the street say, "Hey, I saw your cover. I saw your cover, and I really, really love. Or I just saw that small picture you did in this locals magazine, and that makes you happy because if not, you don't hear from them, right?
mm,
You don't. I mean, you don't know whether they like it or not
mm,
because it's a like I say, it's a very lonely profession. You're doing this alone, right? And you're back in a dark room then, or you're on a computer now, and you don't know what the consensus is. You don't know what the consensus is really, unless people come up or they call, or I get to meet the people that know my pictures, and I always get a kick out of it. I always get a kick out of what they say about it or what they don't say about it because, I think as an artist, even for you playing the horn, you want feedback, right?
yeah,
You want feedback because if not, you're just in a vacuum doing your thing. You don't know if you're doing it right or wrong or whether they
yeah,
hate it. Like, Daniel, the song you played, I wish you did this or whatever. Like for me, it's like, oh, that shot you did, why didn't you use the black background or whatever.
mm,
So you just want some feedback. I
mm,
mean, and sometimes it helps.
mm,
And also, I've got encouragement, and at least someone's there looking at what you do. Because when you're in the studio, you're just in the studio creating. You're not thinking about who's looking at this or what they think about it. You just want to create that image. So it's I wish I was a musician like you guys. So you get the applause right
but
away,
you
and you
are
know
a
right away
musician as
whether you're good or
well.
whether you suck.
Yeah. But you are a musician, and Russell actually plays the saxophone. He has a few nice
Last time.
saxophones. So that's really cool. But since we're talking about the book, would you mind sharing more about this book?
Yeah. Yeah, we had a book out a while ago when I was having my museum show in Singapore,
Mm,
and it was a one-man show at the Singapore Art Museum.
mm,
You still can get the book, I think, obviously through the some of the websites.
mm,
And it's just primarily my journey, primarily my journey of
mm.
portraits from the time I started
Oh.
in Eugene, Oregon, when I went to school in Oregon in the
Mm,
USA.
mm,
From my time shooting, primarily I was shooting athletes and primarily
mm,
track and field people, runners. That's how I started. I was a
mm.
sports photographer, and I was
Yeah.
shooting for Nike.
Wow.
And then it moved. When I moved to LA, it started the whole fashion started.
Mm.
So became a fashion photographer when I moved to Los
Wow.
Angeles because I felt that it was more creative. And yeah, so it kind of, and then of course I came back to Singapore 1989, 1990. After when I graduated, I worked a couple of years in LA, and then I moved back to Singapore to start my studio, somewhere in Mount Sophia, my first studio. Yeah, so the book kind of like, pictorially it showed kind of my work from the time I started in Eugene, showing the athletes, and then of course all the musicians and movie stars and the people I shot in LA, and then back to Singapore, personalities around Asia, and of course the Hong Kong film industry, China, because I did a lot of movies in China, shot a lot in China, so it slowly moved into the portraits of the movie and actor and actresses, like Jackie Chan and Zhang Ziyi. So
Yeah.
it kind of gave you like a variety of what I did, from the time I started. And yeah, it's just it's a long journey. It didn't seem like it, but yeah, it was quite a long journey.
Nice. So yeah, if you guys want a copy of the book, I'm sure you can still find it. I don't know whether we even have many bookshops still around, but I'm sure you can find it online. So that's Russell's book, and so interesting because we had a discussion of what we wanted to share about, and definitely we didn't think it was going this direction, but. Man, that's really amazing. And before we go any further, I just wanted to share, for people who are watching us on Facebook, you can click the YouTube link above and join us in the chat here. If you have any questions for Russell, music related, photography related, you can let us know in the chat here. And yeah, and actually I just wanted to bring up that now on my channel you can actually use the super chat or super sticker. So if you like to contribute to this show, you can contribute an amount, and then you have a super sticker or super chat that will appear highlighted in our chat here. So you guys can find it on the bottom left hand corner, or if you're on your computer, or the bottom right hand corner of your phone. If you're on the iPhone, it doesn't really work yet, but I heard Android is okay. So yeah, if you guys want to contribute any amount to keep this series going, you can try that out. It's a new feature that I just unlocked this past week. So maybe before we go on any further, I think now is a very good time to show you guys some of Russell's work. And I thought a nice place would be to start with some of the saxophonists and horn players that Russell shot at the Java Jazz Festival. Russell, you still remember those pictures? I think that was probably like 3 years ago. Bonnie James
Yep.
and many. So maybe I'm gonna yeah.
I've been going there every year, so
Wow.
it's so hard for me to even figure out.
I think I
Yeah,
was there
I
that
barely
year.
remember because
Yeah, and then we're gonna talk more about that Java Jazz Festival, and a lot of the relationships I think you built and maintained, and through Java Jazz actually also.
Yep.
So we're gonna talk about that. But now I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pull this up so that you guys can see some of the pictures. All right, let me do this. Okay, let's see the first picture that I can pull out. All right, so over here we have a picture. I think this picture is really, really nice. Russell, you'll see it pop up soon. It's Eric Marienthal,
Yeah.
The one who brought us, who connected us with Chick Corea, and behind him is actually Nathan East, and we're gonna talk a lot more about Nathan East as well. And it was so cool because if I'm not wrong, during this Java Jazz, I think John Patitucci couldn't make it. So Nathan East was also playing, I think, this year with his band, and he just conveniently, stepped in, just to play that one or two shows. It was just incredible.
I think Nathan was so stressed, man.
He didn't look stressed. I'm sure he was. To literally learn the whole Chick Corea,
Oh, he was.
set and just to step in like that, in Indonesia. Wow, man! I think that blew me away because obviously we all know Nathan East is an amazing musician, but to have to handle to play his own set with his own band and to step in like that, wow,
But he
really,
told me like he told me he got the call, and obviously he was practicing so much because as you know,
wow,
Patitucci plays really really fast, right? I mean he can play really fast, and that's how
yeah,
Chick works, and
mm,
and the speed of it, it's like whoa,
mm,
it's and so Nate just he had to practice. He had to
wow,
practice. I mean, you go to a Chick Corea gig, you don't just sit in
yeah,
and just hope you get it right,
no,
right?
yeah,
So he put in so much practice for this gig that
wow,
it was just it was unbelievable because I haven't seen him play with Chick before.
wow,
I've seen him play with Herbie Hancock before,
mm,
and it was just nice again to see my friends up there. I mean, Eric I've known for 25 years, and
wow,
Nate I've known just as long, because Nathan, as everyone knows, Nathan was
mm,
the key bassist for Eric Clapton,
yeah,
and of course,
yeah,
24 Nights and the famous Unplugged album for MTV.
yeah,
And Nate also playing for Phil Collins, and recently he's the bass player for Daft Punk,
yeah,
and many many more.
yeah,
So we became really good friends, and like I say, it's always nice to go to a gig, and like most of the people that are playing are friends of yours.
yeah,
So that was one of the shots that I wanted. I gave it to Nate and Eric, and yeah, and it was
wow,
so nice just to see Chick Corea with his group play,
yeah.
and
And since we're talking about Nathan East, I pulled
yep,
up this shot of Nathan, with his signature Yamaha bass,
yep,
with the
his Yamaha
Japanese,
bass,
yeah,
and
with the Japanese
so this
flag.
shot, Daniel, this shot,
Yes.
actually, I was on tour with Foreplay, right?
Mm,
The group that
yeah.
Nathan belongs to. So
Mm,
it's Nathan, Harvey Mason, Chuck Loeb on guitar,
yeah.
and of course Nathan on bass.
Yeah.
So we were touring, and this stop I remember
Mm,
was Nagoya, right?
mm,
So
mm.
I met up with them in Nagoya because I'm always hanging out in Kyoto because I love the place. So they gave
Ah.
me the schedule, and I met up in Nagoya at actually the Blue Note.
Mm, mm.
This was actually the oh man, this was the day they came in. So I told I had an idea. I said, hey Nate, why don't I go shoot single shots of you guys?
Mm,
Like, and I'm gonna go to each one of you guys' rooms,
mm.
and that's the great part of the relationship.
Wow.
I mean, how many people allow you to
Wow.
hang out in that room,
Wow.
and go shoot whatever you want? So I'm like, look, I got an idea. I want to shoot an environmental portrait or just a portrait of you in each of your rooms separately. So I go,
Wow.
fine, no problem. Tell me when you want to come. So I got all their room numbers.
Wow.
And forgot, sorry. So Bob James was the other one.
Oh yeah.
So I said, okay, Nate, you're up. Okay, I'm coming over. I'll be there in 15 minutes. So I went up there, did a single portrait of Nate. Then I called Chuck Loeb up. Hey, Chuck, what are you doing? Or can I come now? Or so I go to Chuck's room and photograph Chuck,
Wow.
alone, solo. And then I went to Bob James's room and I photographed Bob alone. And then, of course, I went to Harvey Mason's room. And then I had a great picture of Harvey just practicing the
Yes.
drums on the coffee table. So I
Wow.
wanted like to show what these musicians do, or when they're in the hotel rooms,
Mm.
connected to what instrument they're playing. So I thought
Yeah.
it was kind of interesting series. So that's Harvey Mason
Yeah,
drummer,
Harvey Mason.
who was
Wow.
playing with, gosh, what do you call it? Headhunters, the band called the Headhunters.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, and so Harvey's phenomenal, drum player, and
Yeah.
his son, Harvey Mason Jr. He is a phenomenal producer. You know, like a lot of the rap albums, Jennifer Hudson.
Wow.
He- and of course that's Bob,
Yeah,
Bob
Bob
James,
James.
whom interestingly enough, when I went to college in Oregon, and that was the first contemporary jazz album I bought. It was called Amazing Song. People that know the old series. It was a 25 TV series called Taxi. So Bob wrote the theme song for Taxi,
Yes. Yeah.
which was of course a massive hit.
Mm.
And I told Bob, I said, Bob, because of you, I kind of got to know this genre of music. and
Wow.
we've been friends for quite a while, and it's just, to
Mm.
me, he's quite a legend and an icon in the industry.
Yes.
So yeah, and I
Wow.
mean, he played keyboards for Sinatra,
I did.
and
Oh,
I started reading up.
wow. I
You know,
didn't know that. Wow,
yep.
that's amazing. I'm pulling up
So that's
now.
Chuck.
Chuck
Yeah,
Loeb.
Chuck Loeb. Yeah. So very sadly,
Yeah.
this was the last portrait. Last time I saw Chuck, Chuck
Wow.
passed away. Not very
Mm.
long after this portrait we did,
Yeah.
and he actually sent me an email and wanted to use some of these pictures possibly
Mm.
for his new album, and of course it never happened.
Oh man.
But he, sick, and it happened pretty fast, But so
Yeah.
this is quite a meaningful portrait for me. I was in this room, maybe chatting. He's
Wow.
such a sweet guy. I love his music. He's such a sweet guitar player.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's one of Eric
So when
Marienthal's
you're talking
best
about
friends. Also.
relationships,
Yeah. Mm.
yeah. So he had the double album, right? With
Mm.
Eric. He did an album
Mm.
with Eric. I think that was
Yes.
the last album he did.
Yes.
And back to the relationships, as
Mm.
a photographer, I mean, like the art form I practice, I'm it's a very, very, very intrusive art form, meaning
Mm.
I have to be in your hair, be in your
Yeah.
room,
Yeah.
have to be next to you to do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, how can you be in this guy's hotel room or a private
Yeah.
home, or unless you know the guy well? So the relationship, it's like,
Wow.
it's gold. I mean, obviously the better relationship, it's all about the access, obviously, right?
Mm.
So you see these amazing shots of the Beatles or all these great groups like the Stones.
Mm.
With Annie Leibovitz, I mean, she had access, and that's what made it great, because I got the relationship. So
Yeah.
the relationship is everything for me.
Wow.
Just both ways. I mean, why have a bad relationship with that anyway, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. So that was foreplay. I think you spent a
Yep.
lot of time with
So they've
them.
been around for 25 years. They got their 25th anniversary album out, right, a couple of years ago,
Wow.
called Silver. And I think they were formed in 1991, 92,
Mm.
Yeah.
So
That's
here,
Boney James, I think.
yeah,
And that was
Boney
the first time I shot him
James.
live.
Mm.
Yeah. This was in
Nice.
Jakarta.
Nice.
I'm
hoping.
always in Jakarta for every single Java Jazz. And of course, I know
Wow.
you go to that too.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends go to that. And it's like our secret camping ground every
Yeah.
year, because I get to see
Yeah.
all my friends once a year, all in the same festival.
Wow.
It's like
Yeah.
this biggest kept secret, right? I mean,
Yeah.
not many people
Yeah.
know about it. It's like, why Jakarta? But it's
Mm.
been around for so long, and I've been going to it since I came back.
Wow.
You know,
And yeah, and year after year, amazing artists. And now
Yep.
I'm gonna bring on, this Candy Dalfer from the
Candy
Netherlands.
Duffel, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So
Candy from the Netherlands,
yes,
not Holland,
man.
as everyone would say. The
Yeah.
proper way. My
Yeah.
Dutch fans always kill me when I
Yeah.
say, "Oh, you're from Holland." No, 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 no. I'm from the Netherlands. So, yeah, and Candy. Obviously, I was familiar with the music, with with Dave
Yes,
Stewart. She played Lily.
yes.
Lily was here,
Yes.
and of course, most of us, or some of us, would know she was actually Prince's horn player
Mm.
on tour
Yes.
for quite a while.
Yes.
She's obviously influenced by Maceo Parker, who was playing for James Brown. And that's why when you
Yes.
listen to Prince, it has a lot of James Brown
For sure.
influence in it.
For sure.
And Maceo, yeah, for sure, right? So the horn players, it's from
Yeah.
that whole James Brown
Yeah.
era.
Yeah.
And even the way he dances, performs,
Yeah.
stuff he says is so James. I mean, the James Brown act is all infused to what Prince is. And of course,
Hmm.
Prince, why not a beautiful horn player that can really play
Yeah.
too? So he got Candy Dulfer, and I like her music. It's very funky and
It
very,
is.
very,
It is.
kind of James Brownish
Yeah.
with a great groove,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, she plays with Maceo a lot, I think
Yep,
if
exactly.
they are in either countries, they'll hop on and
Yep.
be guests.
So and of course, you Google and you see the old Prince tours. I mean, she's on tour with him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm looking at the chats here, and people are really loving, being able to see your photos. They say thank you for sharing us with these special photos, and nice shot of the musicians. And someone is saying, yeah, Ben is says, pick up the pieces by Kenny Dalfer. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Now Casey has camera specific question. So let me
What
let me
lens do I use? Let me guess.
I'm sure you get that. I'm sure you get that a lot. But let me get you back on screen. And yes, so Casey, he asked, what lens were you using? SLR rangefinder.
Hey,
That's his
Casey.
question. Yeah.
Okay, for the live shots, live shots is standard for me to have my smaller, I mean, my medium zoom or whatever you call it, 80 to 200, you know, and I usually have two cameras. So one has the wider angle, maybe the 24, the 24 to 70, and then the other camera would have the 70 to 200, because because I have a pass, so I get to go right next to the stage, and sometimes obviously the zoom, the 70 to 200 is too close, unless you're going a tight, like a headshot. So when it, and sometimes it's nice to shoot it with a wide looking up, because you have the beautiful lights in the background. So I primarily work with the SLR, so the highest motor drive, and to a point where, when you're shooting concerts, most of the time they allow you to do the first two songs, first 2-3 songs. So I'm like cranking this away like a video camera. I put it on continuous motor drive. I'm just pointing, and I'm having my finger on the trigger nearly all the time. And how I look for it, the shot is, I would try to stand at an angle where my background is beautiful, with the colored lights that are gelled. I don't get heads sticking out of the other band members, hopefully, or mic stands, or mic stands are always get in the way, right? And we hate it. We hate mic stands. And just find an angle where you kind of see just lights or nice rays of light from the top, and that you can achieve more actually with a wider angle if you're looking up from the bottom. Obviously, if you're in the crowd and if they allow you to shoot from the crowd, then obviously your long lens, I would do 70 to 200, and then even a longer lens, if you have to go back to the sound. Sometimes we have to shoot from the sound booth, which I just did for the U2 concert, and of course you need a long lens, because you're stuck in the sound booth, and because some musicians don't want people in the pit. I think Clapton doesn't like it, and a couple other musicians, they don't like people at the pit, because they find it's distracting, or they find it's not very complimentary to shoot up their nose or whatever. So they put you in the, your sound booths are sometimes, like in Budokan, it's like maybe the back of the hall in Tokyo. So you gotta come armed, because sometimes you have no idea where they're gonna place you. If I have some intel, I can speak to the promoters or someone before that, or like the publicist or the marketing person. Then I know, okay, you guys are going to shoot from the sound booth, so I bring my tripod or monopod, or I bring my long lenses, like even a 400 500. So it's a lot of preparation where I'm standing, but for if you got a pass, you're right by the stage, in the pit, in the mosh pit, in the pit or whatever, it's these things would cover it. Sometimes even the 17, but 17 I find is a bit too wide, so I go 24 to 70, and then the other camera would have 70 to 200, high motor drive, and I just crank away, just on auto focus, El Servo they call it, where it just follows and focuses. But background is important, very important, as you know, the lighting, right? So the better the lighting design, the better my pictures. So sometimes I don't have control over it.
Cool.
Thanks for the question, Casey. Right?
Thank you, Casey.
Yeah.
And
SLR, Casey, no rangefinder, man. I don't do the rangefinder.
That's great. And I think there are quite a few saxophonists watching. Saxophonists, we are notorious for being gearheads. For you as a photographer, do you like
That's a good one.
do you like collecting different cameras, lenses, or it's really just for the job?
Sorry to disappoint you. I think I'm the most unemotional guy when it comes to equipment. In fact, it's my friends that tell me, hey man, there's this new camera, it's out, it's how many frames a second, or shooting video at 4K or whatever. I mean, I hear it's from my friends that tell me that these cameras are out, or sometimes my assistants, or and just I have not kept an old camera of mine ever. I mean, it's always upgraded to the next one. I don't like, I mean, the only camera that I kept actually is my dad's camera.
Wow.
Sentimental. He had a Contax Zeiss lens, and Dad was quite a serious hobbyist, and he taught me how to use the camera. So it meant a lot to me. He used to show me this camera when he was, taking pictures of us when we were kids, and that was my first exposure to looking at a proper camera. and that was a rangefinder, and that's the only camera I kept, in my dry cabinet. The rest is like, okay, I'm done with this camera. I'm going to trade it in. I'll get a new one.
Wow.
So I'm not a massive, even lights. I got old lights. So I'm not a big like equipment guy. I mean, I want the best equipment, obviously, to do the job, and then yeah, I just do what I need to do, and not focus so much on just. I mean, there's always every 6 months there's a new camera out. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. It's hard to keep track, right?
Yeah.
So many brands now. Yeah.
Cool. And
I focus on
yeah.
making the image. Yeah. So yeah, it's all for my friends. I would ask them, hey, so like what to do? What can it do? And they'll give
Yeah.
me the whole deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that, from you, having such a long and illustrious career and, just focusing on the craft, more than, I guess chasing every new piece of equipment
Yeah, it's like
out there.
it's
That's
like a horn
great.
players, right? You guys change your mouthpieces. I know.
Man, it can get tempting, but someone like Eric Marienthal, playing the
30
same
years, right?
mouthpiece,
Yeah.
33
Eric's
years,
got his
and
mouthpiece for 30 years. I think
Yeah.
David Sanborn has
Yeah.
shoot his metal mouthpiece out till
Yeah.
like it's like
yeah,
he finally has to change it.
yeah,
So I mean, so there you go. What you're comfortable with,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
It's what
for
you're
sure.
comfortable with, and you can't sound like David Sanborn
Yeah.
if I give you the same horn and the same
Yeah.
Duke of
For
mouthpiece,
sure.
right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you
Man.
so it's just very personal. It's
Good
very
reminders
very personal.
for
and,
us. All
yeah,
right.
and I always tell people not to be a slave of equipment and tools. I
Yeah.
mean, the camera is just a tool,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't want to be a slave of it. Rather spend time on creating the shot and the design and the lighting. Yeah, because it's kind of that's what you're after, right?
Yeah. Cool. And Jasmine is asking, your background photo, is it a bamboo forest in Kyoto?
Nope. Okay, so the shot behind was the first time I ever shot a bamboo forest, which surprised everyone, because here am I known for shooting portraits and fashion and
Yeah.
musicians and rock
Yeah.
stars, and suddenly they see
Yeah.
me shoot this bamboo forest. They go, my God, are you getting old? Because old people shoot landscape, right? And to me, when I was in school, I mean, like, oh, Ansel Adams, he's an old photographer. He's shooting Yosemite. But no, I mean, this was actually, I had this opportunity, and it wasn't to shoot a bamboo forest, but I was working with Zhang Yimou, the director, the Chinese director. And this was actually on the set and on the location we shot House of Flying Daggers with Zhang Ziyi, Takashi Kanashiro, Andy Lau. So I went on the set in China, and this is near Sichuan, near Chongqing. And and when I saw the bamboo forest, I was so lucky to have my 8x10 negative camera, the big, huge wooden contraption.
Wow.
And I brought it. I'm not going to miss a chance to shoot this landscape of this amazing bamboo forest. I've never been there in my life. So I took the opportunity to set it up. I mean, the actors came in at 7. I went there at like 5 or 5:30 and set it up and shot it. That's why you see mist, in the morning. And no, so this forest is near Chongqing. It's called oh my God, see, I'm so bad with Chinese names. I know it's Sichuan.
Me too.
I think Yangchuan or something. It's called
Okay.
Tea Mountain, right by
Okay.
about 2 hours from Chongqing. And this is exactly where the spot where when you see the movie House of Flying Daggers, that's a forest they're flying through and fighting with Zhang Ziyi and all these people. So
I know we have.
yeah, I kind of lucked out with the location. I mean, these guys go find the locations. I just turn on my camera and document it. Yeah.
I know we have a photo of you with Zhang Ziyi. Let me pull that up. All right.
Yeah, Ziyi is like I met Ziyi when she was just starting out, and it's amazing like how far she's come. I mean, from the time I met her, she couldn't speak English, right? Yeah, so she couldn't speak English, and it was just this this shot here was so funny because this was the first time I shot on Zhang Yimou's film, and this is called Hero, as you know. Jet Li was in it, Ziyi was in it, Maggie Cheung was in it, and Tony Leung, Liang Xiaowei was in it. So this is in like the Universal Studios. It was called Hengdian, and actually this is the second time I worked with Ziyi on a film. The first one was Crouching Tiger when I did some portraits, And Yimo saw my stuff for Crouching Tiger, and he wanted to work with me. So he got me full access again, and for all the magazines, for Premier Magazine, and the other magazines. And yeah, so I told Ziyi, hey, I'm going to be shooting all these portraits, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. This was just a funny shot we did, but I shot her alone, obviously jumping, and this was a
Yeah.
set of the library, the calligraphy room. That's it,
Okay.
where they all got killed, and then it's this amazing set that was built. And her outfit is by this famous Japanese costume designer, Wada Emi. So Wada Emi is also the costume designer for Akira Kurosawa, the legendary Japanese director. So Kurosawa, she was Kurosawa's costume designer, and Emmy was just like, hey, I was asking her what's special about your costumes, and she says, well, Russell, you got to make them jump, you could make them fly and jump
Yeah.
for the costumes to come alive, because my fabric is very light, and in the film they fly around a lot, they move around, so it brings life. So I made it a point to have Ziyi jump. And so after the jumping shot, and it looked great of her jumping alone, we were just, it was about, I remember it was 2-3 Celsius in the studio, because it was an off day. She dressed up for me to shoot.
Oh, wow.
And I had the lights on because I knew the cinematographer, Chris Doyle, phenomenal cinematographer. Chris was shooting all the Wang Jiawei, Wang Kar-wai's films, right? So Chris and I are old friends, and I say, hey, Chris, turn the lights on, get a shot. I need to get the stills done. So I had it lit, and thanks to Chris, he had it lit. And of course, I added my lights, because in movie lighting, it's a bit different, and it's not as strong for stills. So I needed to add my light to it. So I added the red gel and the red background, and I got Ziyi there and jumping, and she was jumping about easily like 50 times up and down.
Wow.
And I wanted to put her in the harness with the wires. That's how they
Okay.
do it, right?
Yeah.
They put the harness with the wires, they make them fly, and then the computer takes out the cables. So we wanted to do that, but it was like, it's too much work. Maybe that's not. I don't need her so high. So let's try the little trampoline. So we tried the little trampoline, but it got kind of dangerous, because she was holding these two knives.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get her killed on
Yeah.
the shoot, right?
Yeah.
So, so that was kind of dangerous. So I said, look, why don't we just try just jumping from the floor? I'll put my camera low, so it'll be looking like you're jumping quite high up. So she goes, okay, fine. So that worked out. And of course, after the shoot, by then I knew her pretty well already. It was the second movie we worked on, and said, hey, let's just do a fun shot. So my assistant just had us jumping and doing funny stuff,
Wow.
and that was this one shot I like of the both of us. I mean, because
Yeah.
I've known her since she started out,
Yeah.
even before she did Crouching Tiger, before she filmed it.
Wow.
She was just a kid, like I watched her bloom and grow up to be just amazing, just phenomenal actress.
Yeah.
I mean, every single movie she did was a hit.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Crouching Tiger, she was a big star in it, So, yeah, and like I say again, the relationships are important. You get them to do stuff that they don't usually do, because one thing you don't do is get an actor on their off day, dress up and take
Yeah.
a picture. It's
Yeah.
like a no-no,
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, they want to go sleep. That's all they do, right?
Yeah.
It's off days, they want to go sleep,
Yeah.
because they do 12-hour days in China when they shoot.
Yeah.
So
Man, I think
that
Russell,
was Hero. Yeah.
this will be a good time to pivot to something that I didn't even knew until I started talking to you. And I'm gonna pull up this picture and let's see
Uh-oh.
if people recognize this. And let me know in the chat, okay, if you guys know what movie set and cast this is from. Anyone? Let's see if the first person can reply in the chat. Okay. Let's see.
Here we go.
Okay, let's see it.
Yeah, this is like a snapshot.
Yeah. Anyone can tell what movie this is from? Alright, maybe Russell, you can share with us more about this whole experience,
Oh boy,
how it
wow.
came about.
Okay. So it's Jasmine again. She knows what's going on.
Yes, Jasmine. Auntie Jasmine is really amazing.
Yeah, this yeah, so as it says, I think it's Casey Ng saying that
Yeah.
everyone's got it right. It's from it's a cast from Crazy Rich Asians,
Mm.
and this was just, I would say, one, it's really a once in a lifetime
Yeah.
opportunity, coming from Singapore, being a photographer here, and
Mm.
yeah, so this is a cast of Crazy Rich Asians. This was in the
Mm.
dressing room, and this was actually shot in. So we were all pretty cool. There were no egos. We all had one dressing room, just one big room.
Wow.
Everyone was
Wow.
piled in there. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh, your trailer, my trailer.
Mm.
So
Mm.
and yeah, this was actually the scene when we shot it. We shot at the banquet scene. That's why you see the guys. Most of the
Mm.
guys are in their
Mm. Dressed
tuxedo
up.
shirts. So that
Mm.
was a wedding banquet scene in Gardens by the Bay, and this was, if I'm not
Mm.
mistaken, it was the night shoot. So we were shooting reverse days. So they started at like, I think, 6 p.m. and they ended like 6 a.m. And
Wow.
this, I think, was done, I think, easily at 2 in the morning.
Wow.
So you can see the guy with the book,
Yeah.
with Kevin Kwan's book.
Yeah.
That's the director. That's John M. Chu.
Mm.
And
Mm.
next to John, you see Fiona Xia,
Mm.
and she plays Kitty Pong. She's the one on the slate board, and
Mm.
you see Henry all the way to the back with the peace
Yeah.
sign,
Yeah.
and everyone else, Jasmine and Constance, and and Amy, and who else? Jasmine, the singer on the left. She played the jazz singer,
Yeah.
right? From Shanghai. She's from Shanghai, and Remy and Chris, and of course you see. I mean, I'm so happy. Like, it was just nice to go on the set and on a big set. This is like a Hollywood film, and
Yeah.
you see like nearly half of Singapore actresses.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
You see Joyce there. You see of course Constance, and I'm trying to figure out here, man. Yeah, and it was just nice to see, all these people, that you kind of knew or seen before or familiar with,
Yeah.
and it was just very, very surreal to see,
Yeah.
half the people there
Incredible.
I kind of knew, so that was an amazing opportunity, and it's a long story. It says, they acquired the book, obviously 2012, 2013 when it came out, and executive producer knew me.
Mm.
So he just called me up when they acquired the rights to the book
Mm.
and said, hey, I got the rights to the book, and you're from Singapore, you're a photographer, and this book's about the Singapore family, and could you help them out? The producers from Hollywood are going to call you and
Wow.
get all this information, and maybe you can bring them around. And of course, the producers for this movie, I don't know if people know, were the producers for Hunger Games. So it was a massive project, but the budget was considered small by Hollywood standards.
Mm.
So yeah, that happened, and I grabbed on board, and I brought the producers around, and I brought the director around, and we went to all the places that were mentioned in the book.
Mm.
From the church to the Wesley Church, or to Newton Circus, to Hawker Center, Lau Pa Sat, and even brought them to ACS because
Wow.
there is I even brought them to ACS, my old school, just to get a feel of what the book was talking about. I mean, what are the chances of an award-winning book,
Yeah.
on a bestseller list, made it into a big movie that was based on a family in Singapore, with the Singapore storyline.
Yeah.
That was like, this product was just,
It's
it was
amazing.
one in a million,
Yeah.
and all of us are quite happy, and like somehow I knew it was going to be different. I knew it was going to kind of be big, but not as big as what it made out to be or what it became, because it was like one of its kind. It was the only type of film of this kind of a genre, of Asians shot in Asia, in Singapore, speaking English.
Wow.
So yeah, that was very different, and yeah, we really enjoyed it. And I ended up doing the publicity pictures for the whole film also, and John was very nice, and he shot me an email and said, hey man, you got to be in the movie because you're mentioned in the first book. Like, okay, John, I've never acted before, so no, you can do it. And just tell you what, I'm going to send you the script. So John just
Wow.
sent me the script like a month before they shot, and
Wow.
so that happened, and I had a cameo role in it, and it was scary. It was just scary even for the couple of lines, because I've never done it before, but it turned out well, and people enjoyed it, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, I never even knew because I mean I didn't read the book. I just watched the movie. Until you told me that you were mentioned in the book, and that's just quite amazing. What was the name in the book again? You were saying Russell.
Kevin changed
yeah.
my name to Russell Wing. So
Russell
he
Wing.
changed the Wong to Wing. So he did a bit of a, he changed the names around a bit. There's some other characters in there. He just changed like a syllable or a letter in it. I mean, obviously it's not a true story. It was just, just grabbing from people he knew of, and he told me that he was followed my work. He knew who I was, because we never met. We never met before this.
Wow.
So it was just a surprise to me, and friends were calling up saying that, hey, you're mentioned in this book. I'm like, really? What book is this? So that's how I found out.
Wow.
And then the producers called, and then I figured it out. But it was, it was amazing. It was shot so beautifully, and it just did. People, after seeing that movie, everyone wanted to come here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was no doubt. It's just that the cinematographer was fantastic. He also shot Marco Polo, the Netflix series. He did a great job. The set production people, Nelson Coates did an amazing job with all the Peranakan house, the interior, like Ama's house, Michelle Yeoh's house, right? They made it kind of Peranakan. That's all the set design and production design and all the research they put into it.
Yeah, amazing. I can't wait for the second movie, and I'm sure it's gonna
it's coming.
do
it's coming.
well. Yeah.
There's a second and third, so there are 3 books.
Did they sign
number
for
2, number 3 to do?
I wonder whether they signed for the movie for all 3 or just second one first and then see how.
I don't know. I heard it's going to be. It's 3 books, so I heard it's going to be 3 movies.
Wow, that will be.
No word from it. They're working on the script now, from what I heard.
Wow.
So sometime next year probably.
Yeah.
We're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I know Chimes is just getting, I'm sure bombarded with requests,
everyone wants that water on the floor, and everyone wants that jungle, right?
Yeah.
I remember Michelle coming in. Oh my gosh, it's just a jungle. It's the paddy field, something. When she walked in and she all the travelers' palms, and that was a set designer. That was Nelson's work. With the water. Rita came in, walking on water with a silver dress. And Kina Grandis playing her guitar.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of the nice moments in the book.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted that Crazy Rich Asians wedding now.
Yeah.
We shot that. Yeah, we shot that at Chimes. It was so hot. So, a couple days.
Yeah.
We were in Chimes shooting that.
Nice. I think now would be a good time to pivot to this photo. This cover, since we were talking about Michelle Yeoh, and so I think now we're gonna share with the viewers some of your time covers. So you're one of the very, very elite group of photographers who are called on to shoot time covers. Maybe before we step into showing your work, how does that start? How does one say,
how does it start?
Yeah.
All right, that's a good question. How does it start? Well, that started about 25 years ago.
Wow.
It's how did it start? From the time you pick up a camera, it's always been a dream of mine.
Wow.
When you're a photographer,
Yeah.
and I started out in the States, there was Life magazine. Remember that? The big format magazine where there was Life. There was of course National Geographic. There was Time. There was Newsweek. So for me, it was Time and Life magazine. So that was my thing. Although I started, shooting fashion for 15 years. Yeah, Vogue cover, Bazaar cover, Elle cover. But Time, transcended all these genres, right? So for me, it's like I've always wanted a Time cover. Because it's kept in the Smithsonian, and it's kind of archivally set there, and history. So it just it was 1996, and I got a call on a sleepy afternoon when I'm watching my TV. So this phone rings, and I was just lying around as usual, having coffee, watching TV, and the guy on the phone goes, "Hey, hi, my name is John White. I'm calling from the Time office, and I was given your name, and they told me that you're the guy to call in Asia for portraits, for glamour portraits, for celebrity portraits." And I said, "Oh wow! So we want you to come to Hong Kong to photograph a Time cover." I was just like, "Are you crazy? Is this a dream or whatever?" So like, "Wow, John, tell me when when I'm going to be there." So I didn't pause, and of course I was shocked at first, and then it was like, okay, autopilot. I'm going to be there, and at the back of my head, while I'm talking, I'm thinking, man, this is the moment I've always waiting for, right? So Yeah, of course, it was surreal, and it was also in a way, in the back of my head, I said, man, I've been waiting for this moment. I've been waiting for this moment. I've been preparing for this moment. Everything I did really led up to this point to get this call. So I was really excited, and John was in charge of all the covers, and I flew up and did the first cover. Actually, was of Faye Wong, the singer, right? And Faye was huge, so I ended up shooting Faye Wong. Faye was my first cover. I was really happy. But the
Let me
funny
pull
part was
that
when
out.
I met John. John told me also that he gave another old student, the other guy that shot another time cover was, his name was Matt Maharan, and when I went to school in LA, he was the first photographer. I saw his work, and he was a U2 guy, so he shot U2 a lot,
Wow.
right? And yeah, so that's the Faye cover, and so while in school, like the first semester, I'm like looking at this guy, man, this guy, he shot U2, so I looked up to him, and so John was the one also that hired him to do a time cover. And John, now unbeknownst to John hired me to do this cover. Because John, whom I didn't know, John was actually teaching in my school because he was in the graphics of
Oh.
the art direction department. I was in the photography department.
Mm.
So that was like a full circle moment, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, Faye, of course, was great. And of course, back to the Crouching Tiger
Yeah.
cover was
Yeah.
just at that time I already knew Michelle, and Michelle told me, hey, I'm doing this full movie, it's called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, say what? That's a weird name. So yeah, it's what a weird name to a movie. What's this Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? So I remember her flying before she flew to Beijing. She told me, "Oh, Ang Lee's the director. Chow Yun Fat's in it. It's going to be a great film. It's going to be interesting." So I go, "Okay, fine. And why don't you meet me up there?" I'm like, "Fine. I'm going to go up and shoot on it if you can get me in." So she introduced me to Ang Lee, met Ang Lee, and when I was on the set, I was shooting some stuff, hanging out with Michelle, and met Yun Fat, and just I mean, all of us know Chow Yun Fat, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was just so nice to see just how an Asian set film, ran, because until that point, I never went on an Asian movie set, and let alone with Ang Lee, who's this phenomenal director, right? At that time already, he did Brokeback. I mean, no, he didn't Brokeback. He did what was that? Wedding Banquet. He did Ice Storm, and he did what you call that? What's the other one? I think Sense and Sensibility. He was a big director already, so now he's back doing a Chinese language film. And yeah, so by that time I got to know them pretty well. I shot some stuff on it, and I actually told Time Magazine, guys, there's this phenomenal movie you gotta write a story on. It's called
Wow.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Crouching. So I got it into their head, and they kind
Wow.
of kept it at the back of their head. And then when they were nominated for an Oscar, boom, they called me up. So again, they called me up, and by that time they were all good. We were all good friends. So be like, hey, Michelle, Chow, let's do it. We got a time cover. They all set it up, and funnily enough, we used the same location, which was the Peninsula Hotel in Hong Kong, to shoot this. So it was at Felix Restaurant on top, and yeah, I mean, it was just funny because while I was shooting them, I did not feel that I was shooting a time cover. I felt I was doing a fun test shoot, because
Wow.
I mean, Michelle's an old friend, and I've been shooting her since she did her solo movies after breaking away from Jackie Chan. And yeah, that was like just three friends just kidding and joking. So the rapport was phenomenal. There was no stress. There was no pressure, we were trying stuff out. And that was the really, really, I mean, it was a really wonderful shoot. And like I said, it was just like three friends shooting, And yeah, that was one cover that I liked, and I really liked because it kind of introduced the Asian films, to the Western market.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, as you know, it's the gold standard now.
Yeah.
When people talk about Chinese language films,
Yeah.
they only mention Crouching Tiger because it made a lot of money. It was a huge success, and Americans didn't think Americans would go see a Chinese language film with subtitles, because Americans are known for just watching English movies. They don't watch French movies or Japanese movies or Chinese movies because they're not going to read the subtitles. So this changed it all. And it showed in every cinema, nationwide. And it was surprising. I mean, it was surprising to all of us because I know we grew up with Kung Fu films, right? But of course, the way Ang Lee did it, it's different. It's a different type of story. It was a love story, and of course, it was very shot differently, and not like the normal way how they shoot the Kung Fu films with a lot of quick cuts. So that was really phenomenal, and it's just really, really good experience because I felt I was just working with two friends.
Wow. Russel, could I ask you something, and this is pivoting away to, us being freelancers, running our own business. I always, I've never been asked to do something huge before, but sometimes I wonder to myself, let's say, tomorrow I get a phone call to play the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And then as an artist, am I going to, because I'm so excited and thrilled and honored, am I going to say, okay, I'm going to play for free? Or am I going to say, this is still my price. I still have my requirements. And I would love to ask you, like, how did it feel, when you get your, you've been working, towards this, and Time Magazine actually calls you to do the front cover. Like, how did you approach it? What was your thought process like, Yeah, I'd just love to hear that as a a freelancer, and for those who are watching as well, who might struggle with this.
You're talking about, let me get it right. You're talking about when you get a big job, a job you don't expect, and how you tackle the job.
Or like how do you price yourself, in that sense, like do you would you charge your usual rates? Would you like how would
it's
you?
very different. I mean, and usually for something like that, usually for something like that, Daniel, I mean, the magazine calls you up, they have a set rate.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I'm sure, like, if someone from the Super Bowl committee calls you up, they would have a set rate, a set deal for all the actresses, right? I mean, all the singers. So the money part, obviously, for certain things, I know maybe what you're trying to get at is some things that you really want and you want to do for free, right? So there's some jobs I wanted. I mean, you don't have to pay me. I'm going to show up at your doorstep, right? But on the other hand, it's like most of it, they would have a fee structure.
Okay.
So the fee thing is, it's not, it's not really, how would I say? It's kind of, sometimes they pretty much they set it, sometimes they might ask what your fee is and you just charge them a fee. I mean, it's kind of give and take, I guess.
Okay.
It's also how bad you want the job, right? But mind you, the magazine jobs don't pay a lot. Everyone knows editorial, it does not pay a lot, because it's your work with your name on it. They call it editorial, and you have your names on it. Whereas if you do an advertising job, your names are not on it. So advertising jobs primarily pay more. Editorial magazine jobs don't pay a lot, but you're doing it for your marketing, right? I mean, like I say, like if they didn't pay me to shoot a Time cover, I would have done it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of after a while, and after a while, you can't be driven by the money. You got to take care of getting on great magazines, being published. Just like, hey, I mean, musicians the same thing, right? If tomorrow, if tomorrow Beyonce calls you up, hey Daniel, I got a gig for you. Hey, you're not going to ask her how much, but Beyonce is probably going to pay you good money, Like last time the Prince called you, or you would just do it. That's the last thing you're going to talk about. And then of course the managers will explain to you, okay, you're going to pay like you're going to get paid $2,000 for this gig, whatever. I mean, so you kind of wear it, obviously. It's not something I worry about because I mean, I think when the big job comes, and usually they have a whole machinery behind them and structure behind them, yes, I mean, I have done stuff for free. All of us have, right? Musicians have, even big musicians, there's usually a reason behind it. but not all the time because you got to live.
Mm.
And also, I think it's not nice. I mean, we're creative people, and I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
We're creative people, and man, I can take a picture of my handphone. What's the big deal? Why should I pay you that much? So people do think this way.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're just playing piano.
Yeah.
Like, why are you charging $10,000?
Yeah. Yeah.
To play it on a gig, right? So, yeah, the people that are gonna people that are gonna try to nickel and dime you, but that's when you got to know your self-worth, I guess. But I think when you come to a certain level, you kind of know how to negotiate. And sometimes, like I say, it's not like magazine work. It's pretty fixed. Okay, that's how much for a cover. That's how much for a page. That's it. Whereas I think the commercial gigs are more fluid. I mean, it kind of moves and you can negotiate. Or like, I'm sure the award shows at the Grammys and stuff. Okay, we pay a set rate to all you guys. Each one get a couple of grand, and that's it. But okay, look, everyone wants to be on the Grammys, right? So that money is not something they're going to be worried about.
True.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing.
But I mean, I know you have your own business. We are self-employed, and it's tough. It's tough sometimes.
Struggle.
It's tough sometimes because you're an individual, right? You don't have a company behind you, and they're looking like they are negotiating with you.
Yeah.
And Asians, hey, peng you, hey, peng you lah, peng you.
Yeah.
So this peng you thing means discount.
Yeah.
And you gotta kind of be careful and not be taken advantage of, and to guard your business because it's your rice bowl.
Yeah.
So they don't realize that you might see it as a fun thing for you and your kids to play the piano, but that's your rice bowl, and I think they have to respect that, and I think more and more so people are, because the creative people are this bunch of flaky people that just have fun. They don't need money. That's a old, I guess, a whole thinking, right? When someone looks at a creative person, oh, it's so fun. Oh, it's so fun. Oh, what? I gotta pay you? I gotta pay you to play the horn?
Yeah.
You crazy? Are you serious? Yeah.
It's quite but I mean, a lot for us to think about, and trying to work that balance. Like, of course, I guess for us we have to quickly weigh it out. If let's say if we decide to play it for free, is it, is there a reason for that, and do we still feel it is worth it? And I learned a lot. Even from Tama, like Tama, and I just learned a lot from him. Tama is like, just such a great guy. Like, pay will be the last thing he'll ask about. Like, he will just assess it, and if he's willing to do it for you as a friend, that's all he cares about. I think you saw some of the video shoots I did.
Because you guys are in the same community too, Daniel. You guys are all in the same community, right? So musicians, you give and take, because you need each other. You can't go blow your horn alone without the drums. Or without a keyboard, right? Like for me too, I mean, I need subjects to shoot, so obviously the musicians, the actors, you give and take, and hopefully they reciprocate, not just take. There are people like that, obviously. Just hit me up for some free pictures, and then you don't hear from them. I mean, there are people, and hopefully you know who the ones are, and so it's a difficult thing sometimes. It's a difficult thing sometimes, to try to figure and identify, and hopefully, I think the friends that appreciate you and stuff, you don't have to ask them, and they would figure it out. They would figure it out, and we all help each other. Like, even for photographer, like I say, with actresses or musicians, and if someone's up and coming, I'm not going to charge them my full rate, right? Sometimes I've done stuff with musicians in LA where a lot of times they never paid me, right?
Wow.
I mean, but I needed that picture so badly for my book, because that was going to help me, and that's how I saw the payment. And then I'll go get my fee by shooting model headshots that they pay me a couple of $100. That's how I made my money. But someone that could help my book, I mean, I never talked about money. Maybe, hey, just pay me for the expenses, whatever. Last time was film and processing, Polaroids, whatever, paper, whatever. So I was a student. And you try to work it out, and you be smart about it. You get some big guy in the studio, you're not going to hit him up for a fee. I'm like, unless he asks, hey man, like, how much you charge for a headshot? Then I go, oh, okay, it's a couple $100. Okay, fine. I don't want him to walk away when I know I want him for my portfolio, right? Just like if you're playing on someone's album, you're playing on someone's album, and this is one amazing producer like a David Foster that wants you. You're not going to ask Like,
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to play unless you give me
Yeah. Yeah.
100 grand,
Yeah.
right? That's that first conversation is not going to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, they go, oh, this is how much the fee is, and you go yes or no, or I mean, because there's certain points, I guess, in your career that's going to change your life for good, and sometimes it's not a money job, and most of the times I find it's not a money job. It's who you work with, this I mean, it's a tough thing, but what I heard this one other photographer that I used to talk to recently say, look, don't worry about the money, because if your work is good, the money will come later. Just say if your tunes are good, if you're a great musician, if you work on your craft, the money will come later. If you keep thinking about money, you're not going to work on your craft. You're just going to be cutting deals like a loan shark. You'll just be cutting deals and, man, you got to pay me more for the film. You're not going to talk about the image. So yeah, and we love what we do so much, and yeah, sometimes we don't like talk about the money part, but we need it. We need the fee, right? Because people think, what, you turn up and play a gig and blow 3 hours, and what, you get $50? Are you serious? Not even enough for taxi fare, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of unfair also, I find. I mean,
Cool.
we all have our own businesses, and we all like solo lone ranger. We don't have an accounting department behind us, right? So that's always been a challenge, but you just got to be smart about it. If it's free, make sure you get something out of it. That's what I say.
Could I also ask, like, I think the Time magazine, that first call to do the Time magazine, I would say was definitely one of your pivotal moments in your career.
Definitely.
Were there other such moments, like calls that just radically changed your
The Time one definitely stood out, because that was been a goal of mine.
Wow.
That's been a goal of mine from the time I picked up the camera, because Dad had Time magazine, Dad had Life magazine, so I kind of grew up with that, and if you think about it, gosh, like Time was, first one was 96 when I picked the camera up, so it took me like, it's just if I go back from the time I picked my camera up, it took me 16 years to get that. So it took a while for me to get that. So yeah, it definitely changed. I mean, it was a game changer for me, because you don't need to say anything more, right? You go to any country and go, okay, I did that,
Wow.
And maybe for a musician, I don't know, maybe when you win a Grammy, or when an actor, you win an Oscar. For photographers, I guess when you get published, that's one of the definitely the main magazines you want to be on, because it needs no explaining. When you say other moments, as defining as that, I think maybe the very first cover I did of Sebastian Coe. This is when I was sophomore, junior in college, second, third year. My first cover in America, when I shot for Track and Field magazine. That was different, and that was pivotal, if we call it, life-changing, if we call it. That was because that was my first published work ever, and it was a cover, and that pretty much set me on the path to wanting to be a photographer.
Wow. And you were still in school.
When I got that cover, when I got that cover, I was like, whoa, okay, I think I want to be a professional photographer. So that kind of achieved a different thing for me, and that was just second-ish year in college,
Wow.
when I was about 18. That was my
Amazing.
first cover. So that set me on a path to wanting to be a professional photographer. I was a kid, and it's like no one gets cover picking a camera up in 2 years. So I didn't know that, but my friends go, "You crazy? Are you serious?" My friends in Oregon like, "What? You got a cover? Are you serious? People wait ages for that." Then they make me feel that, wow, this is different, and maybe I should take this seriously. So that was a good thing for me to hear from my college mates, my dorm mates, and I got free shoes out of it, so that was good. Nike gave me free shoes for it, so that was a good deal then for me. But of course later on in the career, I mean, I can't think of any moment professionally that to me Time was great. I mean, that was a good. That was definitely a milestone for me. I mean, as a photographer to be published, you know. So
Yeah. I think now might be a good time for us to pull up a few more of your time covers. How many do you have in total? Do you, can you even
oh boy, I
remember
think
now?
about 18 maybe.
Sorry, how many?
Yeah, about I think 17 or 18. About 17 or 18.
That's
17 or 18 time covers.
amazing.
Yeah, but I do the easy stuff. I do the easy. I say I do the fluffy stuff. I don't get to go to Afghanistan or Kabul, or I don't get to go to Syria. You know, in fact, I don't want to go to Syria. You know, so I get to do what I call it the fluffy stuff, the portraits and the feature articles and profiles.
Wow.
You know, when they have a slow news day, they put my picture up. So yeah,
I'm
so this
sure
one
that-
was obviously Jet.
yeah, man.
So this was done in Singapore actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So interesting story is I met Jet on the set of Hero, as you know, the one same movie when Zhang Ziyi was jumping up with me, Zhang Yimou film. So I met Jet then, got to know him. But you know, Jet on the set, he's like zone out. He's Mr. Zen, you know, and
Oh.
he don't talk to nobody, don't say much. So I left Jet alone. We just did what we needed to do, and he knew me, but not well.
Mm.
So so I get a call. The fast forward, I get a call, and later, and Jet's got a foundation, obviously, the One Foundation, and the charity foundation, which he helps out, victims in tragedies in China. Yeah, so he donates, and he has this foundation. Very active that with that. And I just got a call from time, say, hey, look, I know you know Jet. So time calls up, and here's his number. You can call him. He's in Singapore.
Wow.
So fine, and you guys, he knows of you, and you guys work together. So I was like, oh wow, like what's the deal? He's in Singapore. Oh, okay, fine. So I call him up, and he said, oh yeah. I said, man, do you need a ride to the studio? So my studio, I said, yeah, I need a ride. Pick him up from this place, and then so I just I got the clothes for him. I went to Paragon and got the clothes for him. My friends got me my stylist got me the clothes, and I just went to pick Jet Li up, from his apartment, where he was staying. So I picked him up, and it was weird. It was weird because like here am I driving down Orchard Road, you go to his apartment, and he's like waiting there. It's Jet Li waiting there. I'm like, hey Jet, hop in the car, and it was strange. I mean, you don't know who you're gonna have in the car.
Yeah.
So we just drive to the studio. So I was like his chauffeur. I drive to the studio. We'll set up. Hey Jet, this is what we're gonna do. This is the story of the time. And so he put the clothes on and we shot, and we did stuff, and yeah, and it was just that. And we reminisced about Hero because that was the last time we saw each other. I'm a huge fan of his, amazing wushu expert, of course. He was national champion, I think 3 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just one of those days where like, oh wow, it was so easy. I mean, the shoot went really, really fast. A couple of outfits, boom, he's out of there, and like, okay, Jet, hop in the car, let me drop you off. So I would just drop him off back to his apartment, because he had a place here.
Wow. Amazing.
And there it goes. It's another day in the life of a photographer.
I'm gonna pull this one up now, and when my wife I told my wife that I was talking to you, and she went to search, and she found that, hey, you shot this cover, and she knew so much about this cover because but she didn't know it was you behind it. And so actually the story behind this cover was was it true that you guys moved the set on and off when there was no traffic and when there was traffic?
Kind of. Actually, okay, so what happened was, see, by that time, I met Jackie, like, poor boy, like 20 something years ago. And his manager and I were really, really, really good friends. Willie and I were very good friends. And Willie was like my godfather in Hong Kong.
Wow.
He would always call up to do shots, get me to do shots for Jackie. And, being from Singapore, I mean, all of us grew up with Jackie's films.
Yes.
So it meant a lot to me. It meant so much to me. I mean, I didn't care now about shooting all these Hollywood stars because when you're from Asia or you're from Singapore, like Jackie Chan is like, that's it. I mean, the most famous actor in the world, I think.
Yeah.
And like he told me in his exact words, Russell, I was bigger even before Arnold Schwarzenegger or Stallone. I go, yeah, Jackie, we know that. Yeah, so time called up again, and they knew at that time already I was shooting a lot for Jackie. So they go, okay, we want a time cover, and he's got Rush Hour. He broke all the records, and for Rush Hour, and so of course, manager calls up, and time calls up and say, hey, can you hook it up? I said, yeah, sure. Just call the man. Let me just call Jackie's manager, and I'll hook it up for you. So my idea then was, Jackie is really Mr. Hong Kong, right? He represents Hong Kong through and through. So I figured, okay, I gotta shoot him on location where it's just it shows the city a bit. So I wanted neon lights in. So as you can see behind him, he's got neon lights, and we shot this. In where was that, Kowloon, Kowloon, in Kowloon. So, so when I got up there, to Hong Kong, the manager goes, okay, let's all have dinner with Jackie, right? Let's all have dinner with Jackie tonight, and we can just talk about the cover because it's a big cover. Okay, what do you want to do? Okay, fine. So before I went for dinner, I went to look for the location, and I know Hong Kong pretty well because I've been shooting in Hong Kong for quite a while already. So of course, I would go to the part where all the neon signs were, and that was in Kowloon and in Tsim Sha Tsui. So I went there, and Kimberly. I was walking up and down Nathan Road, which is this road, and I needed to show the neon lights. That was the most important thing for me, and I wanted Jackie in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Because he's all about danger, he's daring, he'll do anything. So I figured let's put him in the director's chair in the middle of the road with the neon signs behind it, and that should say Hong Kong. So I went to look for the best spot where the neon lights were a lot lower, because if it was too high, I can't see it, right? It's got to be lower right behind him. So I found this one spot, with a crossing there. Did some test shots. Okay, fine. And then found out okay, what time are the neon lights going to come on? Because that's important. They're on a timer. So I think it was 7 or something, the neon lights come on. So obviously I can only shoot after 7 because I need the neon lights on. So okay, so we're at dinner. I know the spot. We're at dinner. We're talking. Jackie and I were having Japanese food. I think teppanyaki or something, and these guys are night people. Nothing happens before 8 o'clock, right? So we are having dinner late at 9:30, and everyone's piled into the room. We're eating, we're talking about the cover, and then at the end of the dinner, I mean, seriously, this was nearly about 12 already. We always just end up chatting, and at that time, we knew each other pretty well. So he looks at me, he goes, hey, Russell, what's your idea? Oh, my idea is you sitting in the middle of the road with the neon signs on Nathan Road. And he goes, let's go see the location. I looked at him like, I was like, in my head, so that's what in Cantonese, you serious? In Cantonese for the people in the States. So yeah, let's go. You jump in my car. Let's go. Okay, let's go see. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm like, okay, here I am. I'm in Jackie's car, and we're driving all the way down, and it's to the spot where I found on Nathan Road on the exact crossing. So he pulls his car to the side of the road, not caring where he even parked. I mean, come on, you're Jackie Chan. You come in, man, you probably don't get the ticket, right?
Yeah.
So we were just it was crazy. We were on the main road, and I Jackie, it's a block up. I said, no, don't worry. So he just showed me where the location is. So he pulls his car on one side. We both jump out of the car. We went in the middle of the road where the barrier was that separated the traffic. And here we are, walking in the middle of the road with all these buses going by, and walking up and slowly jogging, running to this spot. And people that saw us thought we were shooting this film. That's Rush Hour 2. There's 2 Chinese guys, But So he went there. I said, okay, show me the spot, and why do you pick this spot? So I showed him the spot, explained the whole thing. And say, okay, look, this is what I want you to do. So because the neon lights is, it's really nice, and you're sitting down there, that's what I need. I said, okay, got it. That's great. Let's do. Okay, we're done. So he was very happy. But I mean, it goes to show you how involved he is. Because Jackie is also a director. He directs all his fight sequences, right? on all the films on Rush Hour. So he speaks like a director. So he's able to use terminology, like my terminology as a photographer, to try to describe and try to find out what my shot is. So we ended up shooting it there. I mean, we ended up shooting it there. I didn't have a plan B, by the way.
Wow.
So luck would have had it when we arrived there, with only his manager and just one or two people. We didn't really have serious security. We didn't block the roads. And when we arrived there at 7 to shoot, it was thunderstorming.
Oh.
So I go, oh boy, there goes my time cover. There goes the Jackie Chan time cover. Because I mean, to me, of course, I wanted it to happen really badly. And then we waited. I remember this. We waited for like half hour, 45 minutes. The manager looks at me and goes, "Hey Russell, what's the plan B?" I says, "There's no plan B. This is the shot I want, you know."
Wow.
And Jackie was great. He backed me up. He says, "No, that's a shot. We have to do this shot. You know, we have to do. We have to do this shot. That's a great image, great idea. Let's not do a plan B and shoot me covered up, under the arcade or something."
Yeah.
So he stuck with it and said, "Oh, okay. So since we are all waiting, let's go shopping." So we pile into the closest mall, and here we are just walking around aimlessly, waiting for the rain to stop. And by the time when the rain stopped, everything cleared. We all piled back into the van, and we went back to the location, and we went out. You know, my assistant grabbed the chair. Jackie was there. I told him, "Okay, in the count of 3, yat, isam." We run out to the middle of the road. When the cars have stopped behind you, because there's a red light right behind you, you can see. And you sit down, and these are the poses I want. Some smiling, some not smiling, with the hands back, with the hands down, legs crossed, legs not crossed. So we went through this choreography. And I had it lit because my assistant was carrying a portable strobe, and I just shot. The moment the traffic stopped, I just started shooting on the motor drive, and I'd say by the time I did the 6 or 8 frame, the green lights behind him came on, and then the cars came right at us, and then of course we slowly moved to the side of the road for the cars and the buses to go out, because Nathan Road is a huge road and really busy, right? So we did this a couple of times, and I was like, nearly the last time, I say, "Hey Jackie, the car's coming." Say, "Don't worry about it, because they will hit me first before they hit you," So I was like, "Whatever, you are Jackie Chan, but I'm not." So it was very funny. I have a shot of a bus going past him, actually, which they didn't use, which I wish they used. Literally a bus going right past him and was blurred. So that was definitely one of the most memorable covers I've done, because it was who I was doing it with, and I was just so happy to have someone back me up, because as a photographer, sometimes you need people to back you up with their ideas. If Jackie Chan backs you up and he wants to do it this way, then fine with me, because I was thinking of this image for a really long time and trying to get the concept together. So I will never forget this shoot, and thanks to him, it worked out that way.
Wow, that's really epic, and it's so cool, to hear the stories behind it, because no one will be able to tell, all of that, by looking at the cover. So really, really,
and the sick part, in this day and age, they like, "Did you Photoshop it?" I'm like, come on, I'm a real photographer. We set it up, we get on set, we light it. We didn't cut it out and shoot it, but see, that's the fun of it. People don't get it. With Photoshop, it's like that's part of the fun, being on the set, right? And if you could Photoshop, I don't have to go to Africa to shoot that leopard, right? I just Photoshop, I just shoot it in Mandai, get an African background, and I put a leopard in. I mean, that's part of the fun, to be there.
Cool. And people are saying, wow, they love your story. What a story, wowzers. And my friend Adrian, he says,
Thanks.
He heard that you own a Selma Super Action 80 Alto that belongs to the saxophonist for Earth, Wind and Fire. Is that true?
Yes and no. When I was in Los Angeles, I see. Okay, so I think weren't you in the school band, Daniel?
For 1 year, in Sec 1, just in Sec 1.
So same here, like you. I was in the school band.
Oh, okay.
So I was in the ACS military band, and we had a great band. We won a lot of awards. So I was in the band for 3 years, and I had to stop because I flunked I flunked Sec 3. So my dad stopped me from going to band practice.
Mm.
So I played the clarinet and then I played the saxophone. So I got hooked on the saxophone because it was easier. So when I was in LA, obviously I'm shooting all these horn players, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I gotta take it up again. I gotta take it up
Yeah.
again. Get a teacher. So when I remember I got my first paid job, which was with LA Times. LA Times hired me, and for the first time they paid me real money for the shoot. And I took that first chunk of cash, and I went to the saxophone shop. I was asking people in LA, hey, which is a good saxophone shop? What should I get? What brand? Da, 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 da. They go, oh, if you can get a Selma Mark 6, is that right? Right? Get the Selma Mark 6, that's the one. So I went to the horn shop and I bought myself a Selma, soprano Selma Mark 6.
Nice.
So that was the first one. And then I go, oh, I need an alto. So some guy calls me up from the horn shop and goes, hey, there's this amazing horn. You know, if ever you're in New York, I can introduce you to the guy, and you can pick like up this alto for a really good price. And it's a vintage Mark 6, 5-digit serial number. You know how you guys always look at serial numbers.
Yeah.
And so when I went there, I'm like, my gosh, I mean, it's only this price because the Mark 6s are really expensive, as you know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was surprised by the price, and it was a good horn shop in New York. So I bought the horn, and then later on, only to find out from him like, oh yeah, this horn belongs to the guy from Earth, Wind and Fire. You know, not that I play like Earth, Wind and Fire, but it was just one of those things that yeah, when I was in school and tried to play music again, you know, because I was around these musicians and tried to take classes just as an outlet. Yeah, so I do have a soprano and an alto.
Wow.
I'm not a saxophone player. I'm just a saxophone, like my friends say, I'm a saxophone owner.
That's super cool. So it's not a Selma Super Action 80. It's actually a 5-digit Selma Mark
Yeah.
6. Wow, from Earth, Wind and Fire. What's I just suddenly can't remember what's the saxophonist called from Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh my gosh.
I need
I
to.
think Don Myrick, maybe. One of them was Don Myrick.
Yeah, the
That's his
one
name, I think.
who is famous
Larry Myrick, I think
for.
it's Don Myrick. Andrew Woolfolk, right? That was Andrew.
And then the one who played the solo on
Andrew Woolfolk was
After
one of the main guys.
Love Has Gone.
Yeah.
I know
I
he's
think Andrew
still.
was one of the main ones.
Gary
Andrew.
Bias. There's this guy called Gary Bias, but
Yep.
not. Yeah.
And
so,
I think this one was, I think Larry Myrick or Don. I think it was Larry Myrick.
okay.
So anyway, he was one. I mean, they had a bunch of horn players,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That are just to me the most amazing horn
Wow.
section.
Yes. Yeah.
When you hear the horns, you know it's Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yes.
Yeah. So by chance, it's like the price was right, and I was just there, and yeah, that first check I remember, man. That first check, I just went out and blew it on a soprano. Tried to
Wow.
play the soprano, you know,
Wow.
with the Dukov mouthpiece, and it was just, it was
Kenny G
hard.
setup.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I tried taking lessons. So I took lessons for a bit,
Okay.
you know, and then I stopped the lessons, and I would go to the valley to take lessons an hour every Saturday or something when I had a break. So that was a bit of my,
Wow.
you know, that's why you see my pictures from the time I started. I shot a lot of horn players for that very reason. I could chat with them, I could understand what they did. You know.
Nice. Wow. And yeah, maybe after COVID, I must, hopefully you'll let me try those horns, those precious horns of yours.
Sure,
That
no
sounds-
problem. You don't
yeah.
want me to play on this program, and you might lose all your followers. You know,
So funny. Oh yeah, I think
it
it's
took a while to build this up. You don't want to like, have this crashing down.
yeah, I think it's Don Myrick. So I searched Earth, Wind and Fire saxophonist. So there is it's a Don Myrick. So yeah, it
Yeah.
could have been his horn, but man, I mean,
I think he
what
passed away already. You know, and there's not much information on him. Yeah. So
but-
I think Andrew was the one that everyone knew. Yeah, but it's it's a beautiful instrument, and
Wow.
yep. You know
Yes.
how you what do you call it? The gearheads, you call it?
Yeah. Yeah.
The saxophone gearheads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 5-digit serial number.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
It's like 60,000 because I mean, for the people that don't know, when you look at the serial number of a
Yeah.
saxophone, you kind of know which year it was made, right?
Yeah.
And from the year it was made with different metals.
Yeah.
And different metals give you different sound.
Yeah.
So people go for a certain serial number that gives you a certain sound,
Yeah.
right? So they say that the 5-digit around this range gives you great
Yeah.
full sound, and that's why people look at the serial numbers.
Yeah.
When they go buy a horn, I
Yeah.
guess that's what they say.
I think now that's like that auto will be worth at least $10,000 in today's market. Yeah, probably
Oh boy,
at
yeah,
least. Yeah,
I know. So
but cool,
yeah,
nice.
I just got it cleaned up. I told you, right? Just got it
Yeah,
cleaned up and got the
yeah,
pads replaced. So
yeah.
you know, I might be seeing some action. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should definitely pick it back up again, and maybe the next show we can do a duet together. That would be pretty. That would be
Yeah,
pretty
man,
cool.
you don't want me to do this. You might lose all your followers, man.
So funny.
You might lose all your followers, Daniel. Don't. Be careful what you wish for.
Awesome. But yeah, thank you, Adrian, for asking that question, and it helped to help us to
Yep.
understand a
Thanks for
bit
the
more.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, about your horn. So yeah, we've been going for probably close to 2 hours or more, and we are
Are you
nowhere.
serious? Hey, we
Yes.
got 10 more to go, Daniel. I heard you
Yes,
did a
that's
12-hour gig.
I
I
I
heard you did a 12-hour like YouTube thing, right?
it's more than 2 hours already. So I told you, from day one, when I first spoke to you, I was like, Russell, this is more a 10-hour episode rather than, a 2-hour episode. So, man, we have so many more stories, and we definitely want to have you back. I mean, we spoke about so many possible people that we could, share about, but man, it's just too many goodies. So we definitely need to have you back. But before you go, maybe you can share with us what are you busy with nowadays, any new projects coming up, then and that you could share with us.
Mm, I think the one I'm focusing on, and I need to actually is go. I have a show planned, and at the museum,
Hmm.
and hopefully it's going to be confirmed. And I'm working on a book, and I'm also working on a show
Hmm.
on geishas in Kyoto. So I've been working
Wow.
on that for a long time. Like
Wow.
11 years. So
Wow.
hopefully the show will come together early next year, maybe end of this year. So I need to go back to Kyoto and to
Wow.
shoot, you know, the geishas and and that's why when I go back and I use Kyoto as a base and I love
Hmm.
the city, I fell in love with it.
Hmm.
I shoot a lot in Kyoto. I mean, obviously for this project I'm doing, and
Hmm.
I gave
Hmm.
myself.
Hmm.
And the good thing is, every time I go there, I get to go to Osaka to check out
Hmm.
some music and Billboard. I get to go to Nagoya
Yes.
to see my friends in
Yeah.
Blue Note, or
Yeah.
or even Blue Note in Tokyo. So
Yeah.
I kind of weave the music in.
Yeah.
Like last time I went was, I mean, I did the Clapton show in Budokan in
Wow.
Tokyo, and then toured with Foreplay, Nagoya. I
Wow.
toured with, of course, with Nathan East on the
Mm.
solo band, and
Mm.
we did Osaka. So it gets me back there to do even listen to my music and
Yeah.
be with my friends,
Yeah.
and of course shoot this project. So I
Mm.
got this show. So look out for it. I'll
Yeah.
post it up when it's all
Yeah.
confirmed.
For sure. Yeah.
It's going to be in the museum, and
Wow.
it's about geisha life. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. All shot in Kyoto. So I need to get back there when they
Wow.
open up, of course.
Yeah.
So hopefully not too long.
I'm
That's the
gonna
one of the main things I'm looking forward to. Really, yeah.
I'm gonna drop people your website now, and then they
Yep.
can keep in touch. Let me send it out in the chat right now. Cool. So, has that always been something you've wanted to do? I mean, 11 years, So, it's just
Yep.
something special for you, near and dear to your heart,
Yeah, because as as a creative person, you try to find something that no one has done,
Mm.
and I've got a way of doing this, and I approaching this, and I've done all of my research, and I'm trying to do it different from what everyone's
Mm.
doing.
Mm.
So like what I'm doing with the geishas in Kyoto, it's it encompasses fashion, which I've shot already, encompasses landscape like the
Mm.
bamboo forest behind, which I've
Mm.
shot
Yeah.
already,
Yeah.
encompasses movie sets, because the architecture and the rooms are like movie sets,
Yeah.
right? The scale of it,
Yeah.
how it's laid out. So it's kind of a project, a great project for me, because
Mm.
it weaves, with a common thread, everything that I love to shoot, that I have done already, that
Mm.
I can put in one project.
Mm. Mm.
So I'm really excited, because very few projects you can use every single facet of what you know or
Yeah.
what you have shot.
Yeah.
The discipline. Like architecture, I've done a lot of it. I enjoy doing it. So that's also architecture. It's a narrative. So it's like shooting a movie. So there's a narrative
Yeah.
within the picture. Um, so yeah, it's really a kind of, a dream project for me, and as you know, it's very, very difficult to be able to be let into these geisha houses unless you know
Yeah.
them. Again,
Yeah.
it's all about the relationship, especially
Yeah.
for Kyoto, because
Wow.
you don't just walk in and, okay,
Yeah.
here's your
Yeah.
fee, I want to pay, and I want to shoot. They won't let you in.
Yeah.
So it took me 5 years before I could go in,
Wow.
and developing the relationship. It's all about a relationship, as you know, in Japan, and more so in Kyoto, because Kyoto people have a reputation of being difficult
Yeah.
and tough and cliquish and old money people, because they were the old capital, and that's why it's special. If it wasn't difficult, it wouldn't be special.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't see a lot of images, the type of images I would like to see. I don't see a lot of it floating around, because I know it's nearly impossible. And a lot of my Japanese friends told me that. So when you say it's impossible,
All the more
I need
you
to do
want.
it. So yeah, because anything that's worth it, it's gonna be difficult, right? So I expected it, managed my expectations, and just kept at it, for 5 years before that they let me into the Ochaya, the tea house.
Wow.
So look out for it, and
Yeah.
and I'm just really looking forward to finishing, at least for the museum, the show.
Wow, that's awesome. And that sounds like it's going to be a lot of work, but I'm sure really rewarding and definitely.
It's not work,
yeah.
Daniel. Come on, you playing the saxophone, that's not work, right?
Yeah. True.
If it's work,
Yeah.
then it's
Yeah.
something's going wrong, right?
For sure. Wow. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool. And Larry says, yeah, he really enjoyed the stories and looking forward to seeing you in Kyoto and Gion. And yeah,
Hey, Larry. Shout out to Larry. So
yeah.
Larry is this rocker guy
Nice.
I
That's
just met. Yeah, thanks
wow.
for tuning in, Larry. We'll see you in Gion, man.
Yeah, super cool.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah,
Yep.
and Wendy says thank you for sharing your amazing story. Kiwai all the way
Thanks,
in
Wendy.
Malaysia. He's saying thank you for sharing interesting stories, and Ben wishes you all the best. And I dropped your link there. People can keep in touch. Social media. I'm sure they can
Cool.
find you as well. And man, this has been
Yep.
a really interesting episode. And thank you for being my first, non on the nose, music guest. But I think you accomplished so much more than
No,
that.
thanks,
and,
thanks for having me.
It's
Because it's like, look, I'm just a photographer, and you're having this music program, and I'm like crashing it.
no, I mean your stories, man. I think we need at least 5 episodes to get through
my.
all your stories, and we haven't even really talked about all the other even like the U.S. celebrities that you have shot and met. Man, I think it's gonna be a many episodes with you, but I think for now we're gonna call it a night. And thank you so much once again, those of you who are watching.
Thanks so much, Daniel.
Thumbs up in the
Thanks
chat.
to everyone
and
for taking
yeah.
part in the chat, giving the questions.
And awesome. And
I
this
hope you
will
enjoyed the stories.
and this will live on YouTube. So I'm sure a lot of people will be able to catch it. And most importantly, I think there's so many lessons that we can take home from your experiences, and and put it in our own lives. You may not be a saxophonist or a photographer, but I'm sure a lot of the points that Russell has brought up will be very important for you guys. So thank you so much, Russell.
Thanks so much, guys.
Hope to see you back here again soon,
thanks for
and
having
hope
me.
to meet in person. I guess this is like the 5th day we've known each other, but it's so
I
amazing.
mean, thanks for putting together this so quickly, because I was rushing around trying to get my mic hooked up, right, as you know.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't want to wait any longer. If I feel like something needs to be done, we're gonna hook it up ASAP. So thank you so much for taking the time. I'm gonna turn back
Thanks, Daniel.
the camera, no problem. And then that's it for tonight, guys. I'm gonna see you on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. I have an amazing saxophonist from California called Jeff Ryan, one of the hottest guys in the smooth jazz scene right now. And he's a fellow Blackmagic camera user, so that's another cool thing. And he has been helping me a lot with my setup as well. So Jeff is going to be here 11 a.m. It's going to be great. And then at 8 p.m. I'm going to be playing my own show, finally with my own instruments. I'm just happy to play the songs for you guys. And then tomorrow night at 8 p.m. we have Miss Lou on her channel, and hope to see you guys there. So good night. Thank you for spending your time with me, and hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.